Friends, last lecture, in general, we all had discussed about the classification and in general, we have discussed about the endocrine glands, and we all have seen that these are the specialized tissue which are responsible for the secretion of the hormone. This particular lecture, we will be focusing about the classification of the hormone. How can we classify the hormones? And what are the special property of the hormone? See, in general, we all had already discussed about the hormone, that these are the chemical secretion. Actually, the term hormone, it is derived from the Greek word that is the hormone. It means I excite or I arouse. So these are secreted from the specialized gland that is called as the endocrine gland. No, Haji, don't come here. Don't come, beta. Okay, so these are the hormone are the chemical secretion of the endocrine gland. Now, see, we had already discussed about the hormone in the previous lecture. They are very, very specific and they just work on the target organ. They are directly secreted. They do not have their any duct system and all. They are directly secreted into the blood, and from the blood they contact with the cells, or you can say their target organ or their target cell. Now, see, when we talk about their target cells, I hope you all remembered in the offline lecture we all have learned about it, that they each and every target cell, they how they're responding with the hormone. So they are responding with the hormone with the special type of the receptor. They receive the hormone, and this receptor are attaching the hormone over it as a ligand, and thereafter they are just bringing the changes. Now, see, when we talk about the functioning of the hormone, so hormone itself is not biologically active. It is a chemical messenger that brings the changes in the cell, and thereafter a secondary metabolism starts inside the cell, and thereafter, now see, mechanism in detail we all are going to learn into the next class, but in short, you remember that hormone itself is not doing any type of the reaction. They are just like a catalyst. As we all have seen that enzymes, they are catalyzing the reaction, so hormones are also that type only. They are also initiating the chemical messages, and thereafter they are bringing the metabolic changes. Some hormones, they are also functioning as a cofactor, where that we all are going to learn into the properties of the hormone, and the interaction of receptor molecule and hormone, all this bring out a physiological activity, and desirable changes happens inside the target cell. So this is all about the hormone, but there are certain other compound also, that is called as the hormonoids, that is the tissue hormone. So that is not produced in a proper endocrine gland, but tissue, they themselves producing certain type of the chemical compounds which regulate the metabolic process on the local level. So such type of hormones are the serotonin, acetylcholine. This also enter inside the blood, and all this regulates the metabolism. So let us classify the hormone. Basically, the hormone, it is classified into the two forms. One is the steroid form and another is the non-steroid form. When we talk about the steroid, so it is further classified as the adrenal and the sex hormone. Non-steroid hormones are the peptide hormones, amino derivatives, amine hormone, and glycoprotein, and many other hormones are there, which we all are going to learn in detail. Now, when we talk about the first type of the hormone, that is called as the protein hormone or the peptide hormone. Now, see, what do you mean by the protein and peptide, and what is the difference? Actually, protein and peptide, both are the chains of the amino acid, but if this protein chain is less than 50 molecules and more than 2 molecule, now which molecule? Amino acid molecule. So if the number of amino acids are 2 to 50, that is going to be a peptide. If it exceeds to the this, so 50, so it is going to be the protein. Is that clear? So protein always have the amino acid more than 50. So these are the hormones. First, when we talk about the protein hormone, the hormones of anterior pituitary, uh, except the adrenocorticotropical hormone, but there are certain other hormones of the endocrine gland, like luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormones. These are not the complete protein, but these are the conjugated protein, glycoprotein, that we all are going to learn into the next slide. Then insulin is the protein hormone, parathyroid hormone. What are hormones secreted by the parathyroid gland? We all have learned in the previous class. That is the PTH hormone. Then peptide hormones are the acetylcholine नहीं है बच्चों ये. This is adenocorticotropic hormone. Then calcitonin, glucagon, vasopressin, oxytocin. Then hormones of the hypothalamus, that is the releasing factor, and the statins. Statins means which is having the inhibitory action. Now, when we talk about the protein hormone, so see, these proteins are the water soluble, so that's why they directly how they are going to enter into the blood. Now, blood, they should not mixed up, right? So there is a process that is called as the exocytosis that helps to enter. Now, there are other hormones of the pituitary, like antidiuretic hormones and all. These are also the protein hormone. The next type, derivatives of amino acid. That means the amino acids are been utilizing or functioning as the integral part of that particular hormone. Say example, when we talk about the thyroxine, so this is the hormone of the thyroid gland. It is derived from directly amino acid tyrosine. So that's why triiodothyronine it is called as. And there are various other amino acid derived hormone also. When we talk about the steroid hormone, so these are the lipid. Steroid is what? It is nothing but the derivative of the cholesterol. These are the derivatives of the cholesterol. So these are the lipid based type of hormone. So sex hormone, hormone of the adrenal cortex, these are the steroid hormone. Now this includes the testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, cortisone, aldosterone like hormones. Now, next hormone category is the derivatives of the polyunsaturated fatty acid. Now, here fatty acids are of various types. So, it is eicosanoids. There is a spelling mistake here. S should come. So the example of this particular type of hormone, now see again, polyunsaturated fatty acid, that means it is related to the lipid. So this lipid synthesized from the fatty acid chain of the phospholipid, and these are found into the plasma membrane directly. So example of such category of hormone is the prostaglandin. There are further two classes. Glycoprotein, when we talk about, so it is the glucose and protein combination. I told you that sometimes the protein, they forms the conjugated molecules. That means they combine with some other type of the macromolecule. So when glucose and protein combines, it is called as the glycoprotein. Glucose plus lipid, glycolipid. So here this glycoprotein type of hormones are the composed of protein with glucose. Not necessarily always it should be a glucose, it could be the other type of the carbohydrate residue as well. So it includes the hormones like follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, etc. Now, when we talk about the last class of the hormone, this is the catecholamine or the amine. So, the hormone catecholamine, these are the very simple hormone, and actually these were the hormones which were first to be discovered. This includes the epinephrine and the norepinephrine, or you can say the emergency hormones. Now, let us discuss about the properties of the hormone. First of all, the hormones, these are the means ported inside the blood vessel, and they transport very efficiently. Why? Because the best about the hormone is that they are low molecular weight, so readily they can pass through the capillaries walls, and even from the cell membrane they can travel very easily. So this is the best part. Instead, we have learned about the other type of the catalyst, that is the enzyme. They were having comparatively bit larger molecular weight. Now see, the hormone, they are just produced into the small quantity. They are produced into the very smaller quantity. So whenever these have been produced, these are produced into a very lower concentrations, because see, in a very trace amount only they are giving the profound effect. So there is no need to make the larger quantity of the hormone into the body unnecessarily, because the smaller concentration, trace amount of the hormone is only sufficient to give the profound effect. So really it is not necessary to produce the large quantity of the hormone, and they are always produced and released into the bloodstream. So unnecessarily extra dumping is not been done. So they are soluble. Most majority of the hormones, apart from the steroid and the hormones which are fatty acid derived, all are soluble into the water. So easily they can transport it via the bloodstream. The importance of hormone is that they are non-antigenic. Note down this term, non-antigenic. That means they do not produce any type of the reaction with the antibodies. So these are non-antigenic, they are organic catalysts, and they act as a coenzymes. Now, I had already discussed, and in detail we all are going to talk about this particular part in case of this mechanism, that they do not influence any activity of the cell directly. Instead, what they do, they are just attaching themselves to the receptor, and they are bringing the biochemical changes. Now, a significant characteristic of hormone is that whenever their function is over, they themselves destroy, or maybe there is a inhibitory mechanism which inhibits the hormone, or maybe these are inactivated because there a small trace amount of the hormone is sufficient to start up its action. So that's why these are not be kept as a concentrated into the body. Then when we talk about the hormonal activity, so interestingly you will be surprised that this is not species specific. That means these are, if extracted from some other animal, can work in the other species. Say example, if one species is having the deficiency of any type of the hormone, insulin or something, so we can extract it from some other organism. This is the reason that the diabetes is been controlled by taking insulin from the outside sources. अगर वो एंटीजेनिक होते तो the treatment of the diabetes, or you can say controlling the sugar by taking the external source of insulin, was not possible. Okay, so these are the not at all species specific. They are extracted from the animal, and they are very much found effective on the human. So it has been demonstrated that the growth hormone and the steroid hormone has been extracted from some other sources, and it has been taken up as a medicine, or maybe sometimes the growth hormone, it has been extracted from some other animals. It has been found that it is having profound effect on the human. So they show high degree of the target specificity if the target organ is endocrine gland in nature. So that particular time we will say that these are the trophic hormone. See, some terms are very important in the case of the endocrinology. First is the trophic, and another is the statin. Trophic hormone, that means this hormone is been produced, but this hormone is not directly going to effect on the target organ. Instead, it is going to act on some other endocrine gland, and it is going to stimulate that endocrine gland and will say that you have to produce so and so hormone. Say example, the hormones of the hypothalamus, all the releasing hormone of the hypothalamus, they directly act on the anterior pituitary, and it makes anterior pituitary, or you can say it stimulates the anterior pituitary to produce the hormone in its action. And that hormone, our anterior pituitary hormone, are also not most of the time directly functioning or acting on the target organ. They are influencing on some other glands, and they are making them to produce their own hormones, or directly bringing the target hormones, and they are doing their specific work. So the hormone which are acting, producing from one gland and acting on some other gland to produce their own hormonal secretion, are called as the uh, trophic hormone. Second category of the hormone is the statin hormone. So the hormone which is inhibiting the function. Say example, the hormone somatostatin, it is produced by this hypothalamus as well as the pancreas. So when it has been produced by the hypothalamus, it is just inhibiting the many hormones inside the pituitary gland. Say example, prolactin inhibitory hormone, so it is the statin hormone that it has been produced by the hypothalamus, and it is acting on the anterior pituitary gland, and it is stopping the action of that particular hormone. Now this is all about the hormone, or you can say the basics of the hormone. There is a deep ocean of the knowledge of endocrinology yet to be learned in this particular unit. In that, we will be next lecture, we will be talking about the how the activation of gene has been happening, and how actually these hormones are doing. So we will study the role of the hormone as a player, that exactly what action they are doing, what is their work. And thereafter we will be talking about in detail about one by one each of the gland. Now how we all are going to study: first we will be talking about the histology of that particular gland, and thereafter we will be talking about the function. Now in the function, we will be again having the discussion about all this hormone, and if this hormonal mechanism disturbs, so what endocrinological disorders can happen, that will be discussed. You will surprised to know that if anything is more severe, then this is the more severe case, that any type of the hormonal disturbance, it causes the severe effect on your body. Even a small changes in the person is absolutely normal, but a smaller changes into the hormonal concentration can make the person infertile. So they have really very important role into the human body. Now see, the next lecture only we will have a discussion about the mechanism of the hormone. For this note, for now we can stop.